Oh, this is a short video about how taxes affect a market and how a tax is borne by market participants. Specifically, how much of a tax is paid by the buyers and how much is paid by the sellers in a marketplace. So these two equations here we're going to use to represent our market. We have a supply curve represented by this equation. We have a demand curve represented by this equation. Before we can look at the impact of a tax on a market, we first have to see what the natural market equilibrium would be in this situation. So to solve this, we first set our equilibrium condition, quantity supply equals quantity demand, and we put in our equation and we basically plug and chug. So we would have 4 plus 6p equals 46 minus p. Now, all I have to do now is rearrange. I will have 7p equal to 42, which will come out to p equals 6. So my equilibrium price in this market would be $6. I can now take this equilibrium price and plug it into either quantity supply or quantity demand. If I plug it into quantity supply, I will have quantity supply equals 4 plus 6 times 6, which comes out to 40. Or I can put it into quantity demand, and I will get a 46 minus 6, which also gives me 40. So in this market, without any taxes being levied in this market, I will have a market price of 6 and an equilibrium quantity of 40. So that's kind of my starting position, so I can know how the taxes will affect the marketplace. Now we're going to talk about imposing a tax. First, let me clear away this so we can actually talk about how a tax factors into the market. In this situation, we are looking at a $2 tax, a sales tax that is being forced to be paid by the buyers in the market. So because the tax is borne by the buyers, we're going to factor the tax into our demand equation. Okay? We have to rewrite our demand equation to include the tax. So what we'll do to include the tax, right, the demand equation with tax, is we bracket off the P and add the $2 tax. Okay, it's important again, as I mentioned in an earlier video, to have the bracket there for the price. Or else we have the situation that we're not going to be able to do the math correctly. I can rewrite this equation, quantity demand with the tax, so I can subtract out the 2. I have 44 minus p. This is my new demand equation. This basically reflects the fact that the tax has made it more difficult for people to actually buy in this market. So fewer people are willing or able to buy the good in this market now due to the tax. From here, all I do is I go back to my original idea of an equilibrium condition, because the market is still functioning. My quantity supply will still be equal to my quantity demand. But now I use my new demand curve in relation to my supply curve. So 4 plus 6p equals 44 minus p. Rearrange all my equation again. I have 7p equals 40. Now in this case, when I do out my math, I should get a new price of $5.71. Now, as I mentioned in the other videos, this first seems a little bit odd because this price of $5.71 is lower than my equilibrium price when I didn't have a tax. This price represents what the seller is being paid. This is what the seller is paid for what they are selling. The buyer, actually, in this case, right, the price for the buyer is the seller's price the price of the seller, plus the tax. In this case, because it's a $2 tax, the price for the buyer is going to be $7.71. Now, important point here. Originally, before the tax was imposed, the market price was $6. Normally, you would think you add a $2 tax on that, well, the market price is now going to jump up to $8. But because there's fewer people involved in the market now buying stuff, because fewer people are willing and able to buy, the sellers actually have to end up reducing the price a little bit. They end up reducing the price by 29 cents. As a result, 29 cents of the tax is actually paid out of the producer surplus of the sellers. The consumers, meanwhile, pay $1.71 of the tax. The net result is that this tax is not totally borne by the buyers. Even though the buyers are officially paying the $2, because of the adjustment in the marketplace, the tax is actually split between the buyers and the sellers. In this case, the sellers bear a small amount of the tax, 29 cents of the $2. The buyers actually bear the brunt of the tax, $1.71 of the $2. That's not the only effect on the market, however. The market also has a lower quantity of stuff being sold in the market. And in order to get to that, what we need to do is take the price that the sellers get and plug that into the supply curve. Quantity supplied in the market now is 4 plus $6 at the new price, 5.71, and this should come out and give us a total amount of 38.26. The previous equilibrium in this market was 40. So what you can see here is there's less quantity being sold in this market. There's less economic transactions happening as the result of the tax. And this always happens with any tax. Any tax discourages market activity and creates a disincentive for market activity. In this case, some economic transactions were lost due to the tax.